بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله وكفى والسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى أما بعد. قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في القرآن الكريم بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإنك لعلى خلق عظيم سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا ومولانا محمد وبارك وسلم. اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا ومولانا محمد وبارك وسلم. اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا ومولانا محمد وبارك وسلم. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. يا فاتح الخير يا فتاح وبك نستعين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Last week we started discussing the chapter on Babu ma ja'a fi ta'atturi Rasūlullāh sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the application of itar, of perfume or perfume oil even of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And we started that discussion and mentioned a few things under that, including the sunnah aspect, or it being sunnah to accept certain types of gifts. And we mentioned that in the ahadith there are 4 things that are mentioned, or 5 things even, that are mentioned by name that according to the sunnah you should try to accept. And they were milk, perfume oil, number 3, number 4, meat, and number 5, anyone remember? Pillow. Okay, a pillow, meaning not that someone gifts you a pillow with a bow on it, but if you're sitting here, for example, and someone brings you a pillow, why don't you lean on this? Okay, make yourself comfortable, then that you accept that. Okay, it's a nice gesture on their behalf, and it's something very simple that by you accepting it, it will make the other person happy that they've been able to serve you as well. So these things are mentioned across varying riwayat, and we should try to follow in that sunnah. When it comes to accepting perfume, we mentioned that there's some caveats to that first of all, how do you define perfume? Are these £1 little synthetic bottles of chemicals, are they worthy of being called perfume in the first instance? And secondly, that everyone has their different tastes, different temperaments, and some people are very sensitive to certain smells, and they can, for example, set off migraines or make them feel unwell. So you should be mindful of such things when you yourself are offering perfume or ether to people. That, don't try to force it on them. Sometimes you feel so forced. Someone saying it's sunnah, that you feel bad. Like, how am I meant to turn this down? The other person will be offended. So you yourself, as someone who has studied the noble ahadith, should be mindful that you don't do that to other people. And you're someone that's considerate of other people, and you say, if you are going to offer someone perfume, maybe you like that particular scent, then you'll say to them something like, why don't you have a little smell of it? If you like it, you can put it on. And then one of the habits I've developed from my teachers is that I give whoever I'm offering, I let them hold the bottle, and I turn around and I distract myself in doing something else. Maybe I talk to someone, or I go away and pick something up and come back, and then I take the bottle back from them. So that way they don't even feel pressured that they must apply it. If they smell it and it's something that's like, whoa, that's not me, then they can just put the lid back on, say Jazakallah, and give it back. So, there's not that pressure. So these are things that we should be mindful of. One of our teachers I mentioned, Hazrat Mona Bilal Sahab, may Allah Ta'ala give him shifa. He's been unwell recently. He mentioned to us, and while he was teaching us the chapter in Bukhari regarding this, that if someone gives him a perfume that he is not fond of, then people get offended, and he's, mashallah, he's a big scholar. So he accepts it, but then he rubs it on his back so he doesn't have to put up with the smell. So then the smell goes behind rather than it affecting, coming up and affecting the nose. So these were some small recap from the last lesson. Last week we started discussing this hadith number 4. Okay, I read it again, inshallah, and we'll just recap what we discussed, and there was some more to discuss here as well. So, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, wa bis-sanad al-muttasil minna ila إمام الترمذي رحمه الله تعالى ونفعنا بعلومه قال حدثنا محمود بن غيلان قال حدثنا أبو داود الحفري عن سفيان عن الجريري عن أبي نثرة عن رجل عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم طيب الرجال ما ظهر ريحه وخفي لونه طيب النساء ما ظهر لونه وخفي ريحه. That it's narrated from this Sahabi and Rajulin and Abu Hurairah. So it's narrated from someone ambiguous, a man from Sayyidina Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu. We'll talk about the chain of transmission later. But Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that the perfume and the scent of men's perfume is such, ما ظهر ريحه وخفي لونه, whose scent is apparent, whose scent is zahir, and its color is hidden. Okay, its color is khafiya. It is hidden. It is discreet. Okay, so this isn't something that the ulama made up. If you've heard this before, this is actually from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, related from Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, that the fragrance of men is fragrance that has a vivid smell. Okay, the fragrance of men is such fragrance that has a vivid smell. But it doesn't have much color. Okay, so like musk, amber, these sorts of perfumes, they don't have much color. It's it's all pleasant smell. Okay, fragrance, and anything that has more color, a display of color, and the scent is more subtle, that's going to be for women. Okay, because they also require color. That's why women, there's such a big cosmetics industry. Surhi powder, lipstick, all these things, they're color, isn't it? So it's such a big industry. And the Prophet ﷺ said that as well, that perfume, and then you can extend that to cosmetics, is there's color for women. Men aren't putting on lippy and applying the surhi powder. Okay. Blush, I think it's called. Okay, so that's the nature of a woman. Okay, and the Prophet ﷺ said that the man who dresses like a woman or resembles a woman, emulates a woman using anything to be like a woman, he's mal'oon, he's cursed. Okay, he's accursed. And likewise, the opposite as well, that the woman who tries to emulate and be like the man, that is the same that applies. Okay, so when that's why this has been mentioned. Okay, and then he said that women's fragrance is that which the color is more expressed. Okay, its smell and fragrance is more subtle and it's subdued, and that's things like saffron, like za'fran, like henna. Okay, henna, that would be used as perfume as well, and it would also color. These things have a good smell. Okay, they're natural perfumes. Okay, men can use it as well, as long as it's processed in some way that's not going to put a heavy color on you. Now, this is all to do with when they go outside. Okay, so the ulama, they say that when a woman, she's going outside, then she shouldn't use a perfume which has a very strong smell. Okay, which has a very strong fragrance. But if it's in the house, okay, then there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. If a woman wants to wear some more strong and apparent perfume, in fact, then it's encouraged between the husband and wife, especially. The Prophet ﷺ related a hadith. In fact, Imam Nasa'i relates a hadith from the Prophet ﷺ that Abu Musa al-Ashri radiallahu anhu narrates that Rasulullah ﷺ that said that أيما امرأة استعارت فمرت القوم. What was the hadith? Any woman who puts on perfume, فمرت القوم ليجدوا ريحها, that any woman who puts on perfume and then she goes by and she passes by a group of people, most likely men, so that they can smell her fragrance. Okay, they can smell her perfume. Then the Prophet ﷺ said she's a zania. Okay, she's a fornicator. Now, any smell that you're going to use outside, like the perfumes that whatever Chanel and whatever that ladies like to use, okay, then it's advertised, it's marketed for outside, right? It's to turn head. As the promotions you see in the adverts, what happens? Someone walks past and then everyone turns their head. The Lynx adverts, Toba Toba, remember them from when I was little. Then there's some women and then the men are all looking at her, or the other way around, or whatever. Okay, then that's Fahiyya Zaniya. Okay, that Prophet ﷺ called that adultery, a type of adultery. Okay, it's not actually adultery, fornicating, but this is a call and it's a dawah to adultery. Okay, you're making yourself appealing to non-mahram and marriageable people. And why would you want to do that? To attract them, okay, to attract attention. So, one other hadith that's narrated by Imam Ahmad, Imam Muslim, Imam Abu Dawud, Imam Nasai, all of them, they narrate another hadith from Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that any woman who's just used bukhur, okay, the incense, okay, the stuff you burn and it gives a nice scent, you know. Nowadays we burn the bukhur and we put it in the little stand and we just use it for the house, but actually the Arabs, the way they also do it is that they also like take that smoke into their clothes and it's used to scent their clothes, okay? So you stand over it just while the fragrance is coming up, the incense is coming up, and you stand there for a minute or so, and then when you step away and the smoke dissipates, then it leaves behind a very nice fragrance, okay? And it causes the smell to go everywhere. So if a woman has used this incense bakhur, then one hadith mentions that she shouldn't come for Isha. She shouldn't come for Isha prayer, okay? They should not come from Isha prayer, okay? But when she's with her husband, إذا كانت عند زوجها, then when she's with her husband, then she should use as much fragrance as possible. That's fine. It's mustahab, okay? It's more emphasized for men to use perfume outside, especially gatherings, Jum'ah, Friday for Eid, putting on your ihram, you know, before your ihram. Whenever you go into any gathering, reciting Quran, studying ilm, especially hadith, okay? It's all about gathering and you're with other people, so you don't want to trouble other people, but you'd rather that they are, you know, there's a pleasant fragrance coming from you, there's no odor coming from you. And so you're saying essentially that you want to remove any bad odor so that when you're going and gathering with, you know, your Muslim brothers, your brethren, then that you're not causing them distress by bad smell. Okay, you give them comfort, in fact, with a good smell. So there's a large component of nazafa and cleanliness. Okay, this is all about cleanliness. Half of Islam is cleanliness, as they say. So a person shouldn't just do it to show off that I'm wearing X perfume, Y perfume for a dunyawi reason, but it's purely so that you can smell nice and you can make other people happy and cause pleasure in the hearts of other people as well. Okay, that's the whole point, so that you're not troubling other people, and you know that you're not troubling them with any bad odor, especially smokers. Okay, smokers, you know, Allah Ta'ala give them tawfiq to stop smoking first of all, but you know, sometimes it's you know, it's very, very difficult smell to the person next to you. Um, it's very, very difficult smell. Okay. Some people smoke marijuana and the smell, you can smell them from, you know, down the street. And so it's these smells, you know, first of all, the actual doing these acts and getting into these habits that must be stopped. But then on top of that, like causing offense to others and troubling others as well. So Islam goes to such an extent where the Prophet ﷺ said that if you eat garlic, if you eat onions, if you eat these strong smelling foods, then you shouldn't come to the masjid without having cleaned out your mouth and gotten rid of that smell. And it's the same with smoking and so on as well. Even in our masajid, I mean, a lot of masajid you go into and the smell's not very nice. It smells like feet. Uh-huh. People come with their wet feet onto the carpet and they transfer that smell, that musty smell, into the masjid. It's not nice. Okay, it's something we should try to combat as well in the masajid. You see the masajid in the Middle East, for example, they're very particular about burning bakhur, having incense, nice perfumes, making the masjid smell nice and pleasant. In our context, we should be opening the windows as well, letting fresh air in, so that you feel good as well when you're in the masjid and you're praying. Okay, they're very particular about that in the Middle East. Okay, and he mentions in the commentary as well that it's really good for the nafs, meaning it makes you feel calm, it makes you feel good, it's pleasant. He mentions it strengthens the heart, basically that it means that it provides comfort and rahat when you're in a place where there's a nice environment, the smells are nice, it's not causing displeasure, not causing you to scrunch up your nose. Okay. And likewise, whenever the husband and the wife they have intimacy, then they should use it as well because that's good as well. Okay. And then the next hadith, حدثنا at the bottom, again narrated from Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu. But here, actually, similar hadith, but just with the slightly different chain. And actually, you can see that the slightly different chain is that up here, where are we? Chain of transmission, and binadrata and rajulin. So here there's an unnamed man, a tabi'i, okay, narrating from Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu. That's in this version of the chain. Actually, he brings another version of the chain to say this isn't an unknown man. An Abi Nadrata, an who's this rajulin? It mentions here. It is Anit Tufawi. Okay, so the narrator's name is Tufawi and Abu Hurairah, and then he mentions that he narrates from Abu Hurairah and Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, mithlahu bima'nahu, similar to it and its meaning. Okay, so there's similar hadith, and it actually mentions this unnamed man who's a tabi'i. So he just clarifies that this isn't just someone unknown that's narrating; it's actually mentioned within the other versions of this hadith. The next hadith, hadith number 5 of the chapter, which is 231, 218. It is بمعناه من الجنة. Yes, 221 in my book. So, بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وبه قال حدثنا محمد بن الخليفة وعامر بن علي قال حدثنا يزيد بن زريع قال حدثنا حجاج الصواف عن حنان عن أبي عثمان النهدي قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم: إذا أعطي أحدكم الريحان فلا يرده فإنه خرج من الجنة. قال أبو عيسى ولا نعرف لحنان غير هذا الحديث. Okay. So this hadith is narrated from Hajjaj ibn Hajjaj as-Sawaf, okay, from Hanan. This Hanan, which Imam Tirmidhi will mention to us later on, he's only related one hadith, and this is the hadith. He's just narrated one hadith, and this is this hadith. He relates from Abu Uthman al-Nahdi. He wasn't a Sahabi, but this hadith, he doesn't mention a Sahabi's name. Okay, so it's what's called a Mursal hadith. Okay, so he relates from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He's obviously missing a Sahabi out in between, and he's just quoting directly from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And we've had that discussion about that being a certain category of a hadith, where the tabi'i has studied from a Sahabi, but he doesn't mention his teacher, and he just quotes the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam directly. That's called a Mursal hadith. Okay, Marasil is the jama' of that. So, but if the ulama mention, if he's a trustworthy narrator, then he must be relating from a trustworthy Sahabi, and that's why his narrations here have been accepted, even though he doesn't mention a Sahabi. So he says that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, إِذَا أُعْتِيَ أَحَدُكُمُ الرَّيْحَانِ, that when any of you is given a rayhan, okay, rayhan, here it's translated as sweet basil. We'll talk about that in a second, okay? Rayhan actually means any flower, okay? Any natural product from the earth which is fragrant, okay? It's been translated as sweet basil, which is a specific type of sweet-smelling plant, because that's also how it's used. But more generally, it's used for any sweet-smelling product that comes from the earth, any sweet-smelling flower, for example, as well, okay? So he says, فَلَا يَرُدُّهُ, then he shouldn't refuse it, he shouldn't reject it. فَإِنَّهُ خَرَجَ مِنَ الْجَنَّةِ, because it has come from Jannah, it's come from paradise. Okay, so what does that mean? You give a nice rose, okay, a nice smelling rose or jasmine, okay, which I think it's basil. It has a good smell, it's better to eat, okay, and that's why the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned that in a hadith as well. And Rayhan is mentioned in Surah Al-Rahman as well. Okay, so it's very good smell, but could refer to any particular any flower or any growth which has a good smell. Okay, so he said you shouldn't refuse it because it's come from paradise. Okay, its origin has come from paradise, and the reason from that is very clear, that had come from paradise, that he says that a small amount would make the whole world smell great. So it's saying that its origin the origin of fragrance, of nice smells, okay, comes from paradise. Okay, it's understandable. If Jannah is a place where there's all pleasures, okay, right, then the pleasurable smells will also be, they're waiting there already. Okay, they're there. So all the good is there. So a part of that and a little hissa of that's in the dunya, and it's in the world. It's a small depiction of it. It's a small representation, just to give us an understanding of what Jannah is going to be like. Okay, because the Prophet ﷺ said that what was it? مثل المنافق الذي يقرأ القرآن. The example or the parable of a hypocrite who recites the Quran is like the rayhana, okay, whose rihuha, whose fragrance is really excellent, but its taste is bitter. Okay, so what he's doing, he's exposing, it's really good. Okay, the Quran is coming out of his mouth. The hypocrite is being talked about. Okay, but inside is bitter and it's corrupt. Okay, that's when the Prophet ﷺ speaking about the munafiq. Okay, that's where the hadith mentions the word rayhan. Okay, so he shouldn't refuse it because it comes from Jannah. Okay, Jannah, the fragrance of Jannah is mentioned in some riwayat that you can smell it from a distance of 500 years of travel away. Okay, so you can imagine the intensity of such beautiful smells and each of the pleasures and the blessings of Jannah when the intensity is at that level. And Allah Ta'ala created fragrance and beautiful smells in this dunya, in this world, just to remind us, to give us a taste, a little bit of a jalak of what that's going to be like in the akhirah, and to give us encouragement. Okay, so fragrance is a good thing. Okay, fragrance is a good thing. I think every culture, fragrance and having beautiful fragrances has been part of the culture and the elite, and it's been something respectable. Even if you think back to the ancient Egyptians, they were buried. They had perfume that were buried along with the what do you call it, the pharaohs and the sarcophaguses, sarcophagi, whatever the plural is. Okay, so something that's been respected. Okay. And then Imam Abu Isa at-Tirmidhi rahimahullah, he says, لا نعرف لحنان غير هذا الحديث. Okay, that I don't know Hanan, this hadith, this narrator, Hanan, who's in the chain. He doesn't know him except from this hadith. Okay, meaning he's only transmitted this hadith. Okay, this is just something from the hadith perspective in terms of narrations. Okay, in terms of the narrations. Okay. And actually, if anyone's interested, قال عبد الرحمن بن أبي حاتم في كتاب الجرح والتعديل Hanan al-Asadi Abd al-Rahman ibn Abi Hatim, okay, famous commentator of narrators of hadith. He mentions in his Kitab al-Jarh wa Ta'dil, the book on the authenticating and the criticism and authentication of narrators. He mentions this Hanan. He's Hanan al-Asadi from the Banu Asad. Okay. And then he mentions a bit more about the narrator as well, but we won't go into too much of detail. Suffice to say that Imam Tirmidhi rahimahullah mentions that he's just come across this one hadith of this narrator. And then the last hadith of the chapter is this hadith number. Where are we? Yes, hadith number 222 in my book. That is بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وبه قال حدثنا عمرو بن إسماعيل بن مجالد بن سعيد الهمداني قال حدثنا أبي عن بيان عن قيس بن أبي حازم عن جرير بن عبد الله قال رضي الله عنه قال ورثت بين يدي عمر بن الخطاب رضي الله عنه فألقى جرير رداءه ومشى في إزار فقال له خذ رداءك فقال عمر رضي الله عنه للقوم ما رأيت رجلا أحسن صورة من جرير إلا ما بلغنا من سورة يوسف عليه السلام. That it is narrated from Jarir ibn Abdullah al-Bajali. He's a Sahabi radiallahu anhu. He only became a Muslim short time before Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam passed away. But in that time, he became such a famous Sahabi that he's a narrator. He's a narrator as well. He's a narrator of hadith. Okay, despite the fact that there's many other Sahaba radiallahu anhum who stayed with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam for many years, with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and you don't hear as many ahadith narrated from them, or the ahadith that they narrate being as famous as this one. Okay, and this Sahabi radiallahu anhu, he had certain qualities. Okay, He had certain qualities. Jarir ibn Abdullah al-Bajali. Okay, he was from the Bujaila tribe. Okay. Yeah. That's why Bajali, okay, he was the leader of the Bujaila tribe. He was a very tall man. They mention if you stood him next to a camel, he was as tall as the hump of the camel. Okay, that's how tall he was. And they mentioned that he was extremely handsome. Okay, that's why he called him the Yusuf alayhi salam of this ummah. Okay, because Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam was considered to be very handsome. Okay, um, and then Hmm. And he mentions that the Prophet ﷺ used to smile when he used to see him, like it comes كما يأتي في باب الضحك. But it comes later in the chapter regarding the laughter of the Prophet ﷺ. We'll mention that later. Okay, so Rasulullah ﷺ used to really like him. Okay, and he used to smile every time that he seen him. He became Muslim. He embraced Islam in the year that the Prophet ﷺ passed away. Jarir radiallahu anhu, he used to say that he said that he just got there 40 days before Aslamtu qabla موت النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ب40 يوما. Okay, that he just got there and he accepted Islam some 40 days before the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم passed away. Can you imagine? Chilla katya, right? He spent a chilla and a 40 days with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam with Islam, and he became so famous and well known. Okay. After that is mentioned regarding the Sahabi that he went to Kufa. Okay. He went to Kufa and he stayed there for a very long time. He disappeared. Okay. After the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he passed away. After the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam passed away, he moved to Kufa. But later on, Kufa was established in Umar radiallahu anhu's time. He basically disappeared. Okay, he essentially disappeared. Then he came to Kufa, and then he passed away in the year 51 Hijri. Okay, numerous people have related a hadith from him. So in 40 days, he related things from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Many people related and narrated a hadith from him. In Bukhari Sharif, it's mentioned that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam sent him to Dhil Khalasa. Okay, he sent him to Dhil Khalasa and he made special dua for him. Allahumma thabbithu ala al-khair. That, Ya Allah, give him al-khayl, sorry, Allahumma thabbithu ala al-khayl. Okay, Ya Allah, give him the ability and establish him firmly. Give him the ability to sit firmly on a horse, okay, which means that he can't drop off so easily. He can't be thrown off, okay. Make him a guide and guided, okay. So make him a guide for others and make him someone who's guided. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam also said about him that when the nobleman of a particular tribe comes to you, then honor them, okay, honor them. He was speaking about him actually. Okay, he was speaking about him. And he also said that from this door will come one of the best people from Yemen. And then he describes something that will be on his face. Okay, he said something about him that Jarir ibn Abdullah, he's from Min Ahlil Bayt, he's from one of our households. Okay, so he became very close to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in that short time. So now what happens here in this hadith is that it's related from Jarir ibn Abdullah radiallahu anhu. He said that later on, during the time of Umar radiallahu anhu, okay, during the time of Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu, because he disappeared, okay, Jarir ibn Abdullah disappeared, then he'd come back and he wanted to be part of the army, okay, part of Umar radiallahu anhu's forces, okay. Remember, the expansion of the Muslim world was like, it was exponential during the time of the Khilafat of Hazrat Umar radiallahu anhu. Okay, so he says that I was presented. So Umar radiallahu anhu, he wanted to see, what's this guy made of? Okay, what's Jarir radiallahu anhu made of? Okay, so he says that when I was presented in front of him, okay, I was presented in front of him. So Umar radiallahu anhu wanted to see, because people were talking about him or whatever the case was. Okay, he wanted to see how strong he was. So you know how like you'll parade your soldiers around in front and see, okay, which one should we take, which one should we not take, okay, you take your shirt off, show me if you're fit, show me if you're fit or not, okay. So it was like that. So when he disappeared and he came back, Umar radiallahu anhu wanted to see if he's still up to it, if he's still got the fitness, and he's still up for being part of the army, okay. So Umar radiallahu anhu wanted to see that, and he told him to come. Okay, I was brought before Umar ibn al-Khattab. أعرضت بين يدي عمر بن الخطاب فألقى جرير رداءه. Okay, um, فألقى جرير رداءه ومشى في إزار. So he says that Umar radiallahu anhu, so Jarir took off his shirt, okay, he took off his rida, his top garment, okay, he took off his sheet or his shawl or whatever you want to call it, whatever he was wearing at the top, and so he was just wearing his mashafi izarin. He was only walking with his lungi on, okay. Remember the lungi, when you're wearing the bottom garment, okay, you would wear it up to covering your satar and your aura, so up to below the navel to below the knees, that would be covered, okay. So, but essentially, he took off his top, okay, and he was only with his bottom half on, and that's how he went around. And even at that age, he must have been, very strong, very well built, muscular, not a family pack. Okay, but this was to express his strength and his firmness. Okay, فقال عمر رضي الله عنه للقوم. Okay, Umar رضي الله عنه, he remarked and he said to the people that ما رأيت رجلا أحسن صورة من جرير, that I've never seen anyone that's more handsome or more better formed suratan, okay, than Jarir radiallahu anhu. And the reason that he probably mentioned that, okay, is until then, Dihya al-Kalbi radiallahu anhu, another famous Sahabi, he was considered the most handsome Sahabi, okay. But he was more handsome than Jarir radiallahu anhu. Dihya was more handsome than Jarir is mentioned in terms of his facial complexion, in terms of his handsomeness of the face, okay. That's why he's mentioned about Jarir. But it's mentioned that whenever Dihya radiallahu anhu would go into any city, any town, any place, word would go around that there's some amazingly handsome person that's come, okay. Such even that the women and their parda would just come out to catch a glimpse of him, okay. I don't know how to explain that. Maybe if some like pop star or something, or like some, I don't know, Allahu Alam, someone famous came and people heard, maybe they just go out to have a look. I don't know, Allahu Alam, okay. But people make like a big, like a sensation out of things. It becomes sensationalized, okay. Obviously, he didn't want to be like that, okay, but that's just, what they mention. Some actually mentioned that he had to put a cover on his face and get out because of how bad the attention was for him, like almost wear like a niqab or a face mask, okay. In this day and age, I think famous people wear a baseball cap and shades if they don't want to be noticed. So similar thing. So Umar radiallahu indicated that Umar radiallahu probably only said this after he's seen him without his top and he's seen his physique. Okay, so that's why they've said that okay, Dihya radiallahu anhu is very handsome when it comes to the face, but when it comes to the physique, then it's Jarir. Okay, Abdullah ibn Jarir radiallahu anhu. Okay, Jarir ibn Abdullah, sorry, Jarir. Okay, so. Yeah. Now the question is, or the form of Yusuf alayhi salam. Okay, except what's reached us regarding the appearance of Yusuf alayhi salam. Now the question is, what's this got to do with perfume? Okay, because this is the chapter about the ta'attur and the application of perfume of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this hadith, it doesn't look like it's got anything to do with perfume or with fragrance. So why did Imam at-Tirmidhi rahimahullah, why did he bring it in this chapter? Okay, the commentators even saying here that actually I can't see any reason for him bringing it here. Okay, I can't see any reason. Unless we say that one of the later scribes of this book, when they were writing this book out, okay, that they maybe put this hadith here in this chapter by mistake. Maybe it should have been in a different chapter because we can't really see any correlation between the two, okay? But the other possibility that I came across, okay, is that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam made dua for the Sahabi, Jarir ibn Abdullah. He said, Allahumma thabbithu ala al-khayl. Okay, remember I mentioned that he made the dua is to keep him firmly established and don't let him fall off the horse. Okay, when the Prophet ﷺ made this dua for him, he placed his hand on his chest. Okay, Allahumma thabbithu ala al-khayl, that Allah make him firm upon the horse and the horseback. Okay, and one commentary mentions that the fragrance from the palm of the hand of the Prophet ﷺ remained on his chest even until the time of Umar radiallahu anhu. And I think this is a nice explanation to explain why this hadith is being mentioned here. Okay, that even in the time of Umar radiallahu anhu, that fragrance remained. Wallahu a'lam, Allah Ta'ala knows best. But on face value, it's not really apparent if you look at the wording of the hadith, why this hadith is mentioned under this chapter heading. Okay, so as you can see from these hadith, this is the last hadith of the chapter. Okay, they weren't just about that perfume is perfume was an important aspect, okay? But again, just advice that perfume is very important. You don't want to upset people. You want to cause happiness in people and please be a source of pleasure to other people, okay? You go into a shop, you're looking for perfume, they're showing you it all. Everyone smells the same these days. It's the same 4 or 5 perfumes that everyone seems to be after, okay? But look for something unique, look for something nice, look for something that's pleasing to you and that's pleasing to other people as well. And perfume is one thing that scholars mentioned that actually spending money on good perfume is not wasting, it's not israf. If you can afford to spend money, then spending more money on good perfume, it wouldn't be like fuzul kharchi, as you say, okay? So may Allah Ta'ala allow us to follow in the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in every manner, including the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's beautiful teaching of teaching the ummah to use perfume. Like we mentioned, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's natural scent was amazing. This was tabi'i, and it was one of the miracles that Allah Ta'ala had blessed the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam with. But the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to enhance that and to teach us as the ummah that we should wear perfume and we should make an effort to smell nice, the Prophet ﷺ would go above and beyond that in the application of perfume in order to teach us that this is something that we should do. Okay, so may Allah Ta'ala grant us understanding and may Allah Ta'ala grant us tawfiq of amal. Ameen wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. The next chapter, inshallah, is on Babu Kaifa Kana Kalam Rasūlullāh sallallahu alayhi kalam Rasūlullāh sallallahu alayhi how the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam would speak, how his speech was. So inshallah, it'll be an interesting chapter. Subhanallah.